Welcome back, everybody. Today's date, January 14th, 2025. We're into the new year. So much is going on. I think it was as of last Thursday, the Palisade fires, that's out of hand. I think we're going to do a lot of talking about that because I wanted to just kind of go over it a little bit, but I started digging, just scavenging through the internet and just getting clips and what have you, and just some of the things that I learned. I'm mind blown, absolutely mind blown. It seems like it's Maui 2.0 all over again. I want to shed a little light on pretty much just the incompetence of our government and that just how horribly they fail us, and like what's the point of us paying taxes and paying into this and building this system when they do nothing but nothing. They do nothing. They let us lose everything and they don't do nothing. So yeah, my heart goes out to everybody out in California who's battling and dealing with the issues with the fire. It's absolutely insane, and I don't want to get like too conspiratorial on it as far as like who did it, what did it, why did they do it. It is being done, and that's the bottom line, the facts. Some of the things that they're talking about on the news, they're already going right into blaming Donald Trump in some ways. They're, I think, trying to sue him. I'm not even entirely sure. Like, it's just mind-blowing. You literally can't make this stuff up, and you can't keep up with it. It's so much. But I can tell you that it's pure incompetence of our elected officials, and so many of these people, I don't even know how they got their job and how they stay in power, because they're absolute like horror show. I just wanted to go into certain things, certain statistics, certain facts. We're 4 months out from that hurricane that hit the North Carolinas, and they're still they have no rebuilding efforts going on over there. There's nothing. They haven't gotten nothing. They barely got their $750 that the government promised them, if they can even qualify. And I've heard that all sorts of people got denied that, and they're left with the out towns. Same as Maui, nothing has been done. Last I checked, the rebuild efforts haven't even begun. And yeah, there's a lot of shady stuff going on, like insane amount. Like I said, I started digging a little bit, and I was like, mind absolutely blown. First things first, the news is like I said, already blaming Trump, which is absolutely insane. And another thing that I'm getting so tired of hearing is this climate change. It's climate change. Yeah, that's exactly what climate does. It changes. It's a conundrum of words that don't make sense. There's massive amounts of videos out there, just for the record, that I actually didn't record or I'm going to air because I just didn't want to even waste my time on it. But there's mad amounts of arsonists out there, and that's essentially how this, as far as I'm concerned, got started. There's a lot of people setting fires for some reason. Why or what or who's behind it and all that. Like I said, I don't want to get too conspiratorial. I don't want to talk about, possibility of the smart meters and direct energy weapons and all that. But it's an absolute wasteland. It's literally like the video game Fallout. It's like a nuclear wasteland. And I just, like I said, I kind of just want to bring a little attention to the political side of it, because it's nothing but pure incompetence. Whether they did it purposely or not, or what have you, whatever the reason, they are responsible getting as far as it has. And let's kind of get into that a little bit. But there's a bunch of fires going on still. And if I'm not mistaken, the Palisade fires are literally, I think, 15% contained as of today. So I may be a little late on that, or the numbers seem to change quite rapidly. Some of the statistics. Let's just start with that. I'm just going to read a couple things that I found on Business Insider. At least 5 separate wildfires are raging through Los Angeles and Southern California as we speak. The Palisade fires alone have burned roughly over 17,000 acres of land in 2 days. And to put that into context, Manhattan is 14,600 acres. So that it's huge. A series of wildfires have battered Los Angeles and other surrounding areas in Southern California since Tuesday, killing at least 5 people, burning through tens of thousands of acres of land, destroying at least 1,000 structures. Damage estimates so far to be in the tens of billions of dollars. I think I read one report that they were already roughly saying that it was up to $57 billion in damage. Crazy. Imagine, well, first off, where are we getting all this money? Especially, like, this is why I was railing so hard about why are we giving so much money to Ukraine and other countries. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. We're bankrupt. We're going to be completely bankrupt. We already are, but that's another story. Officials have evacuated over 130,000 people. That population is greater than the capital of Kansas, which I think has 125,000 people. Yeah, right here. One estimate puts the damages, economic losses at $52 to $57 billion, making it one of the costliest natural disasters in U.S. history. More than 7,500 LA firefighters have been deployed, and it's still not enough. They can't contain it. Wind gusts have reached over 90 miles an hour, equivalent to a Category 1 hurricane. Fascinating. Where are their responsibilities? Where's the agenda? And what is the agenda? And I don't know if you know this, but he rerouted water, and Trump's getting some flack for this because he visited California a while back, and he started talking about they need to put the water back in California because Gavin Newsom basically shut down, I believe it was 4 huge dams, and rerouted the water into the ocean.
Largest dam removal project in U.S. history, and one of the most significant, if not the most significant, water restoration project, bringing back salmon and steelhead into this basin. This project could not have happened without the extraordinary partnerships with tribal nations and, of course, our partners in the North and Oregon. We just finished a celebration with the Secretary of the Interior and our tribal council and tribal leaders, and I couldn't be more proud as a Californian, and I couldn't be more proud as a father, because my kids and their great-great-grandkids will have the opportunity to see something that, well, has been here since time immemorial, and it's about damn time we got this done.
A lot of their reservoirs have run dry, and he's going to actually contradict that in a minute when I show you this one clip. What is going on? You would imagine that, you know, dealing with the fires that they have in the past, that they would be absolutely prepared for this. And some say they were, but it caught them off guard with the wind or whatever the excuse was. There's no excuse. There really is no excuse. Not with this great loss of and damage and what have you. I can't. It's like I said, it's just mind-blowing completely.
I don't think Americans are making this connection. And the way we can see this in right here and now, take a look at the monthly change in Google searches. Look at the searches for wildfire, up 2,400%. My goodness gracious. This is the most amount of people searching for wildfires ever ever going back since Google Trends began back in 2004. But look at climate change. Look at the change. It doesn't go hand in hand with wildfires. It's actually down. It's down 9%. And I also looked in California. There has been no increase in the number of searches for climate change. So the bottom line is this. Americans are definitely interested in learning about these wildfires. They're interested in following the news about the wildfires, but they are not making that connection with climate change. That's the bottom line here.
That's
Mr.
a
Berman.
really key metric you're looking at there, the connection. Overall, Americans being worried about climate change, what have we seen over time?
Yeah, you know, we have seen a lot of extreme weather events over the last few decades, right? Hurricanes, heat waves, wildfires. You might expect that Americans worry about climate change would climb. Climate change worry a lot. You go back to 1991, it was 35%. Now, it was a little bit higher in 2007, a little bit higher in 2022. But look at this. In 2023, the last time we have data, 39%. That is not statistically significantly different from this 35% back in 1991. So despite all these extreme weather events, Americans are really no more worried about climate change than they were, what is that, now nearly 35 years ago? I mean, there's just no real trend line here, Mr. Berman.
So the question is why?
Why? Why are they not really worried a lot about climate change? It might be because they feel like there's not a whole heck of a lot they can do. So climate change, humans contribute a great deal. Wow. Again, there's no real trend line here over the last few years. 2019, 49%, 2020, 49%, 2023, 46%, 2024, 45%. That's actually down 4 points from where we were back in 2019. And so less than a majority of Americans believe that humans contribute a great deal to climate change. So the bottom line is that is a big reason why they don't worry a lot. They just don't feel like they can do anything about it.
So the trend line is going down, even as scientists say that the intensity of these storms and these conditions are getting worse.
Even as the extreme weather goes up, humans are not exactly as worried about climate change as they necessarily once were.
CNN, shame on you. I'm so sick of hearing about climate change, and that's all they're trying to push. Why isn't people looking up climate change? Dude, because it's fake. That's why, and people are onto you. That's what's going on. They're more important with getting you to correlate that than the facts. There's so many videos out there of arsonists starting these fires, whether they're homeless, whether they're operatives. And that was something I actually heard on a different podcast, and it makes a lot of sense. We have 25 million people that crossed over the border in the past few years. And if, there's a lot of talk in the wire about operatives and all these terrorist cells that have made their way over here, like actual Al-Qaeda. What better way to infiltrate than to, be homeless and to merge in with that? Because in California, the homelessness is off the chart. Of course, in all these sanctuary cities, right? All these sanctuary cities, this is a massive problem. I said that a long time ago, and it's now taken fruition. I'm not going to blame that on that, but it's like it would be a perfect guise if that was the case. Say this was an operation to, say, purposely create mass chaos. Well, they're doing a pretty good job with the bare minimum. And yeah, I don't know. It gets you thinking. It does. And I'm gonna go into a couple more things on that in a little while, but it's insane that the news is pushing this narrative. It blows my mind. It really does. I'm so sick of it. Like I said, these people are treasonous. Absolutely, they're more concerned with pushing the climate change agenda than anything. I've had it. I have had it. Moving along, a lot of the priorities were set on the migrants. And this is just in California alone, $2.6 billion. No wonder why we're going under. Our kids' will be paying for this for the rest of their lives. It's insanity. Gavin Newsom is an absolute horror show of a governor. He needs to go. Along with Karen Bass. She's something else too. Oh my God. We got some clips of her.
Madam Mayor, David Blevins from Sky News in the UK.
I'm not going to do that.
Fire chiefs say that they're really stretched to the limit and running out of water. What have you got to say to that?
Touching me, okay?
Have you no response to that?
Can you do me a favor?
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up, boss? I appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home? Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. They're gonna
Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down?
One of my, I think it was the last podcast I did, and we were talking about how these things are heavy, and it's basically like looking into the dark and shadow work and what have you. And one, as I stated, one woman, you know, she kind of gets a little like, you know, depressed and this and that. She can't watch it because, you know, I'm talking about a lot of dark things, but not her particularly, but it's like, people's hands are very dirty here. And I mean, I'm not trying to guilt trip anybody, or I'm not judging, but at the same time, it's like if you're not paying attention, or you are paying attention and you are electing these people, you got to know who you're putting in, because these people are demons. Choose wisely, people. That goes into the whole discussion of, if you're not paying attention to politics, well, you're going to be unprepared. You're really going to be unprepared for when something really does happen. And as you can see, this is in our own yard. So things happen all the time, and government fails you. And yeah, you might not be into politics, but they're certainly into you. They're certainly interested in you. It's something that I feel like everybody should be paying attention to, because you're not realizing the kind of world we're living in, the world that we're building, the future. It doesn't look good. They are setting us up to completely fail, and not to blame them, being like they are the perpetrators of this, but they set it up to fail. And we're going to go into that, like all the things that had to fail to get us to this point, to get these things way out of control. And this can happen anywhere. It happened in North Carolina. It can just happen anywhere. And any pandemic or plandemic, whatever way you want to call it. You know, this is my way, like I said, of seeing the incompetence and being able to critical think and to use your own imagination to be able to deter this or to prepare. And that's the big one, really, is to prepare for things to go down. Because I can't even do it in 100 podcasts as to how many things they have set up like this. That's what's essentially happening, is they're kicking out cards of the house of cards, and eventually it's set to fail. It's built that way. It's completely built that way. Is it incompetence, or is it by design, really, is the question. So I don't know. Use your own imagination on that. Use your own thoughts. But I personally am going to, I have been for a very long time. I am taking my own precautions. I am taking my own action. I am setting up. I am prepared for if something devastating happens, because I know, I've seen it, that they are setting up for a fall. And this is just a small example, but it shows you the level of which something very small and insignificant can rapidly grow.
So it was a total systems collapse, from the idea of not spending money on irrigation, storage, water, fire prevention, and forest management, a viable insurance industry, a DEI hierarchy. You put it all together, and it's something like a DEI Green New Deal hydrogen bomb. Gavin Newsom was fiddling. He's almost Nero Newsom. And this has been something that is just unimaginable, this systems breakdown. And to finish, what we're seeing in California is a state with 40 million people. And yet the people who run it feel that it should return to a 19th century pastoral condition. They are de-civilizing the state and de-industrializing the state and de-farming the state, but they're not telling the 40 million people that their lifestyles will have to revert back to the 19th century, when you had no protection from fire, you didn't have enough water in California, you didn't have enough power, you didn't pump oil. So we are deliberately making these decisions not to develop energy, not to develop a timber industry, not to protect the insurance industry, not to protect houses and property. And we're doing it in almost a purely nihilistic fashion. And Karen Bass should resign. She came to the airport back from Africa. She had nothing to say. She was confronted at the airport. Why were you in Africa? Why did you cut the fire department? They cut the fire department by almost $18 million. They gave fire protective equipment to Ukraine's first responders. And she had nothing to say. She had nothing to say because she couldn't say anything. I don't want to be too pessimistic or bleak tonight, but this is one of the most alarming symptoms of a society gone mad. And if this continues, and if this were to spread to other states, we would become a third world country if we're not in parts already.
So yeah, with that last clip, that's insane. That's their priorities, is to take care of everybody else, take care of the smelt fish, this little tiny fish, over people. It's insane. That's all I have to say. It's crazy. Be arrogant and dismiss it at your own risk. But I feel that that's part of the game plan, is to keep people ignorant to it. Because if you're not prepared, then you're really going to get slapped. And I feel, like I said, that this can happen in so many different ways with any sort of event. It doesn't take a big one, and it'll catch everybody off guard.
Mayor, LA County is in a panic state. It began 2 days ago with the Palisades fire. My crew and I arrived shortly after it started, and for several hours we watched as hundreds of homes in a neighborhood burned to the ground. We did not see a single fire engine. We watched as Good Samaritans guided traffic. There was fear and there was a lot of confusion. You were out of the country at the time. Shortly after the fire started, a press release was put out warning of this fire behavior. My question to you is, what explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of us here with one voice, is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes. Rest assured that when rest assured, let me finish. Rest assured, when that is done, when we are safe, when lives have been saved and homes have been saved, we will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work, and to correct or to hold accountable any body, department, individual, etc. But my focus right now is on the lives and on the homes.
Do you think your leadership was effective while responding to this disaster?
I just said what I believe, is the most important thing for us to do right now, and that is going to continue to be my focus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go.
So this is Karen Bass, and she has no, like, it doesn't even seem like she has any sympathy whatsoever. She's just like, we're going to save some people. We're going to save the houses. I don't want to hear people pointing fingers at me, blah, blah, blah. Which she's in control. She's the mayor. But she was gone. She was actually out on a trip to, I think it was Africa. When they knew that there was a case for, like, severe winds and there could be trouble, she decided to take off, you know, go on a vacation. Such lack of leadership and incompetence. Like I said, she absolutely has to go. I hope. I'm shocked she's not fired, but what do I know? I don't know. Oh my God, this burns me up. This was tough. This was tough watching a lot of these clips and just getting this information. This was a tough one. Karen Bass, I hope you, yeah. I can't even use the words. I don't want to get banned. All right, so before we move into the next clip, let me just give you an example as to a couple things that were set up to fail. And one, they haven't been cleaning up the brush. They haven't been cleaning up their forests at all. The fire stops haven't been updated. Everything has been neglected. Well, as you can see, we got to send money to Ukraine. We got to send money to Israel. That's more important. We got to take care of the migrants. We have to, take care of everything else other than our people, our towns. And with that, that's why a lot of it started raging out. And then when they went to go put the fire out, there was no water in the fire hydrants. What? Are you serious? It sounds like Maui 2.0 all over again. So many things had to fail for this to grow the way it did. Gavin Newsom was essentially blaming other officials, including Trump, but he was like blaming all. He's not even sure. He's like, I'm going to investigate. But either way, let's listen to this next clip. This is the fire chief.
Period.
Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community.
Did they fail you?
That is our job, and I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs.
Did they fail you?
Yes.
Chief Kristen Crowley, I believe the anchors wanted to ask a question back there. Had some comments.
We do, Gigi. If you could please ask her regarding the Times article that came out that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was closed to repairs and it was empty. 117 million gallons of water could have been used in this fight.
The question is about the Santa Ynez Reservoir being empty. There's been a lot of questions about that.
Sure. So my stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants. Please defer that to DWP or whomever controls that part. But I can tell you the resiliency of our firefighters, if there's no water, they're going to go find water. They're going to figure out a way to do the best they can with what they've got in a very dynamic situation.
And I know you expressed concerns that those DWP hydrants would not be inspected thoroughly because of the budget cuts.
That is something to discuss, and we're going to look into that in regard to how we can ensure there's going to be water when we need it. But in the end, I'm going to defer that to DWP and whomever else controls the supply. I can guarantee you that when our firefighters showed up on that day with what they had, they did absolutely everything they could do to rescue and to save people's lives and property. And that's the bottom line. Now let's get them what they need to do their jobs.
Let's get them water, Chief, because I was with your firefighters and they literally were watching a house burn down with pain in their eyes, not being able to do anything except pull water from a swimming pool to try to save a nearby structure that wasn't burning, and literally watching a house burn to the ground because they had no water.
That's exactly right. But did they continue to work, and did they continue to do what they had to do the best they could with what they had? Yes.
Chief, follow-up. Thank you very much for talking to us. We appreciate it. I believe we have a follow-up question from the studio.
Question on that reservoir issue. Is the fire department aware of when these resources are depleted, just like that reservoir had no water? Was she aware of that fact, that it was under construction and there was no water there?
Sandra Endo, one of our anchors, wants to know if the department is advised that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was going to be emptied. Were you aware that there was no water there?
No, we weren't aware of that.
They don't have to advise you?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So you had no idea that there wasn't such needed resource?
No, we weren't.
All right. Chief Kristen Crowley, again, Chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. Thank you for talking to us. I know it's been a very exhaustive, emotional, and I imagine you're mad, and I imagine you're sad. You may not want to talk about that anger or that disappointment, but I can see it in your eyes. Thank you. Thank you for talking to us.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll send it back to you.
Oh, they failed you, all right, and they failed everybody purposely. And there's a certain amount of people in there, in our government officials, they're not there to serve us. They're there to do a job, and I believe it's to bring in the new agenda, new world. They didn't fail. They did precisely what they were put in place for, to be a full-blown communist. He basically says that, oh, they're lying. I don't know what they're talking about. The reservoirs are full of water. Well, how come there was no water? And then the reporter ends up correcting him. Once again, this is completely unacceptable.
Think about when you take a shower. What do you think about when you're putting on your shoes? Like, where is your head at? Their head has been in the clouds around, DEI, the larger society, ESG, climate, homelessness. I mean, the list goes on and on. But it was on homelessness. We now know, because the state audit came out, $24 billion on homelessness since Gavin took office in 2019. Tucker, homelessness in California increased by 40% under Gavin. Can you believe that? I mean, 40%. So, because everyone goes, it's such a curious mystery as to we spent all this money on homelessness, and yet it just increased. It's like, well, yeah, because you spent money incentivizing and subsidizing homelessness. You spent all this money to attract people from all over the United States.
So $24 billion spent on homelessness in California alone. And then homelessness jumped up 40% under Gavin. Wow. See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not getting into conspiracy theories. I am telling you the facts. This is the numbers. This is what's going on. So how do you refute that? You can put any label you want on it. You can call it whatever you want, but it's the facts. This is what's happening. And this is what's coming to a city near you. I live in a blue state, Massachusetts, and I can tell you same thing firsthand, that the incompetence, the corruption, the communism. I live in the commonwealth. You can't spell commonwealth without communism. It's the same thing. Commonwealth, communism. It's the same thing. Any way you want to cut it. I digress. So, yeah, I mean, once again, I'm just kind of going over the numbers, and the statistics are completely off the chart. So let's listen to the next clip. Let's get all fired up now.
First thing. The second thing is the water runs out, right? So that was and then you hear people go, oh, well, there's nothing you can do because, like, once the homes are burned down, like the water lines, you can see the pictures, the water, like, will be spilling out, of the homes. And so that lowered the water pressure. That was a total lie. There is something called the Santa Ynez water reservoir, which is the potable water, meaning the drinking water that also goes into the fire hydrant system, because the fire hydrant, the fire hydrant system is the drinking water system. It's the same thing. It's the exact same system. That reservoir was empty, and it was the second largest of the 10 potable water reservoirs that serve LA County. Let me make one distinction here, because there's actually two kinds of reservoirs. There's the reservoir with the snowmelt water, these really big lakes, basically, and then there's that's the unpurified water, and then they purify it, and then they feed into these reservoirs where they store the water for all sorts of reasons, for emergencies. So that is an absolute crime, that Santa Ynez reservoir. Why? Because first of all, it's right next to the Pacific Palisades. And so for people that don't know, Pacific Palisades, of course, is like right near, it's on your way to Malibu. It's like the last big neighborhood before you get to
And they're Palisades. They're over the water.
That's right. And so they have a reservoir. Like, you look at the Google Maps and you look at where the Santa Ynez reservoir is, it's right next to, like, a few thousand feet from Pacific Palisades, and it's really high up. And so if you had water coming from that, the firefighters would have had plenty of water. They would have had the water pressure, even if you had lost some homes and had the water out. So, two major failures. The first was the failure to aggressively respond days in advance, even though they had very clear warnings. The second was the reservoir was empty.
And yes, the reservoir was empty. And they had warning that we got some high winds coming. We can get a little prepared. But how do you prepare when you've let your reservoirs run dry? So this is fully unacceptable. Unacceptable. This guy should be tried for crimes against humanity, really. A lot of people are suffering because of this. You got to watch out for who you're electing if you're going to play that game. If you're into politics like that and you're casting your vote for people like this, yeah, that's all I have to say. Okay, so for the next big thing, 69% of the houses in the Palisades didn't have fire coverage. State Farm, one of the big insurance companies out there, canceled a lot of these policies for fire. Something that they get all the time. Normally, and originally, I was like, corruption, conspiracy, la la la. The further I go into it, I started getting information on they canceled the policies because, well, they knew how much of a risk that these houses were at. They were like, this is a fire hazard. All this brush, nothing's been cleaned up, fallen trees. So the insurance company knew, like, yo, we can't insure you for fire because this is all fire hazard. It's a big circle, a big cycle. It's a big wheel of, yes, corruption, but it's like that is the job of your government. That's where your tax dollars are going. That's supposed to be allocated for cleanups. And that's what you do. You clean up your town with tax dollars and what have you. Like, that's the whole point of a governor, and to govern and to take care of the people. He wasn't taking care of any of it. So State Farm seen the red flag, and they were like, we have to cancel the policy. And that was a couple months ago. So a lot of these people don't have insurance for fire. Convenient. Really convenient. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
69% of the policies it had in Pacific Palisades. Data point this morning confirmed. State Farm said last year, we're non-renewing 69% of the homes we insure currently today in Palisades. Why? Long-term brush risk and poor management of the common area.
You can't blame them.
No, I'm not blaming them.
I know you're not, but what I'm saying is you cannot blame. The business has to make profits, and when the regulators make their life a living hell and make them look bad, what do you want us to do, take a loss every year?
Well, correct. Now I'm going to the punchline. Why did they do that? because the county of LA and the city of LA had suspended brush removal in Palisades. This comes down to the county.
Are you joking?
Yeah, you can find it. You can find it was suspended here. Casual brush removal suspended here. Limited brush removal suspended here. This is all going to come out because Zach Levi
That's
and
when
other
Trump
people.
said he got to clean the floor, and the floor.
That's exactly right. And who did? By the way, to his credit, what do you say? You said get smarter people in the room with you.
Yeah.
Who did he praise? You know, the people in Finland have had policies, and they've been doing this for a while.
Right.
So he's not saying, "Hey, I'll fix it." He's saying, "You know, this problem has been solved."
There's another case study. We have it. They did it. Why don't we learn from them and fix it?
That's exactly right. And so I'm not down on the insurance companies. I'm saying the insurance companies are at the bottom of the waterfall, and at the top of the waterfall is the state with their policies and budget cuts on fire and brush suppression and all the things that they've done, despite the level of taxes they're collecting. And now they collect the tax. They have the money. Prices of homes are way up, so property tax is up. But what are they doing with the money? Homeless programs, sanctuary city programs are wasting the money on non-citizen spends. Citizen spends, you're keeping the valleys and the areas clear of brush, and you're working on that. Non-citizen spend, you have all these pet DEI projects. That's the upstream problem. The money was spent on other stuff.
What gives? Like, who do you go after? Who do you call? What do you do? What do you do? California, man, they're their own world over there. And it's because of communists like Gavin Newsom, who run it. Not to keep going back to it, but like I'm in the same predicament in this blue Massachusetts communist state. More to come on that. How horrible is that? Like, this is insane. It's such a shame. And I don't want to get into conspiracy. Like I said, the best I can, I'm doing my best to avoid that. But what happened in Maui, if you were to dig into that a little bit, atrocious, absolutely atrocious. And some of the conspiracies that were circling around that with the people that were coming in to land grab and to basically not allow them to rebuild and to build bigger, better homes, not for the people who lived there, but for new people and for corporate interests. People were saying that already with this, that LA was supposed to become a smart city by 2028. And how, you know, not for nothing, but like, how are you supposed to do that with all the infrastructure that's there? How would you wipe that out? You see where I'm going with this? So who's to say that that wasn't sort of part of the agenda? I'm not going to get too ahead of myself, but I want you to hear this clip that's very suspicious. And this is coming right from the horse's mouth. Take a listen to this. This is intense.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
I mean, look at his body language. Smiling, like, are you serious? That alone was very troubling to me. Just that alone, even if you didn't listen to the words. Just the way he was moving, the way he's smiling. What is he doing? What is he trying to say? What was he saying with his body? It doesn't look good. It doesn't sound good. Sounds like he's already going to give it over to special interests. And I pray to the gods that this is wrong. Maybe I took some of this out of context. Leave in the comments what you feel about this, because this is extremely telling. I think this could be the cat out of the bag. I'm not sure. I got some weird feelings when I watched that clip. I was just like, oh, this doesn't seem right at all. And what it actually means, I don't know. I think we're gonna learn that in time, very soon. Or maybe not. Maybe people are already on that. Maybe we'll have some information a little bit more on that soon. I'm doing my best to not get too into conspiracy theories. But I have a long clip here that it doesn't seem like much, but as you watch it and listen to it and see precisely what is happening, it might tweak your mind a little bit. For me, it was very telling. Very, very telling. And there's no exception for it whatsoever. I won't say much. We'll go into it. And for those who have watched already this far, thank you. Watch this next one. If you get through it, then you'll hear me discuss what I feel about it. But take a listen to this. Very telling.
Excuse me.
Hey, sir.
What's going on? Remember me from yesterday?
Sorry, I saw a lot of cars. Remind me one more time. How's it going?
Good. I live right here. I'm trying to get to my house. What's going on? If you could please share with me.
Okay, so today what happened is that they now have a new, what's it called? Drop point for CAL FIRE this way. Just a mile down. So right now there's still hard closures this way and that way.
I mean, military is here, police is here. Yesterday, you know, undercover, who knows, FBI, cameraman. I mean, what's going on?
I was here yesterday.
Yes, you were here yesterday. I was here yesterday. I mean, my house is there. I've been kicked out of my house, evacuated for 4 days now. 5. We're like just trying to get back home, get some of our things. I mean, was my house burned down? Was it not burned down? I just want to get a serious answer, you know?
I understand. Let me help you with that, right?
Please.
Right now, the incident commander is CAL FIRE, right? They are the ones telling us what areas are safe or unsafe. That's the big part. So if any questions regarding areas that are unsafe or checkpoints, whatever that is, you go to CAL FIRE, or the CAL FIRE website. You go look under the Palisades Fire and find their phone number. That's for you guys. Also on top of that, evac centers are listed on the bottom. So physically, if you guys need to, go to the evac centers listed. Now there's one currently close by, Calvert Community Church. That is the one that I've been referring people to recently, because physically they have resources. They have everything we need to know. Now I'm here.
You don't know what's happening in there, right?
Me, no. All my orders is just stop people from going through these ways.
So you don't even know what's going on in there. I really wonder what's happening there, you know? It's not just a fire.
That's where I'm saying go to CAL FIRE, talk to those guys.
We did, and they don't have much to tell us. That's the thing. Like, they don't actually share with us what's happening there.
I understand.
They don't give us any information. All they tell us is, hey, you just can't go in there. And I'm like, hey, but this is my house, and we've been kicked out of there for almost 5 days now. And I just want to know, why can't I go in there? And there's not like a real answer.
Evacuation zone. Once in evacuation zone, you leave it, you are not allowed to go in by law. Once they lift evacuation, you will be allowed back on.
But it's been 5 days, and I asked, what is the reason? That's all I ask.
Okay,
it's not just...
The reason is CAL FIRE, whoever is making those decisions, still deems it an evacuation zone. That's the reason.
I wanted to know, was my house burned down?
I understand.
Was there more houses?
Lots of questions. I'm sure this is very frustrating, but the fact of the matter is this area is still closed, and you're not going to be able to get in until the evacuation is
And I'm completely fine with not going in there.
Yes.
I just want to know the reason.
That is the reason. It's evacuation zone.
I know, but 5 days, I mean, the fire is gone.
It's still an evacuation zone. Until that's lifted.
Are the fires out?
The fires are still going on. They're still driving. There's still helicopters flying over, stopped and retarded now.
There's still fires right now?
Yes.
Okay.
It actually was a huge fire.
But from the another side, we can go? Oh, it's closed
Everything in Malibu is going to be closed. This is kind of the...
So from the other side, I can get to my house as well, right?
Yeah, head to the right side of this vehicle and then go and make a U-turn, please.
Closed.
Okay.
I'm sorry for your frustration. I'm sorry that you know you have a lot of questions and everything, but it is what it is. Unfortunately.
And you know what I mean by I don't mind not going to my house. It's just it's been already almost 5 days, and actually nobody's been able to give us an answer.
Okay,
which has been the most frustrating thing.
I'm not a politician. I'm not making decisions. And the answer that I can give you is this is an evacuation zone, and by law, you're not allowed in until evacuation. Hey guys.
So this is like a government order, right?
This is the law.
This is the law. Government.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully they lift that sooner than later, and you guys are allowed back in. But that hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and you guys have a good day. Thank you for helping us. It's kind of crazy to us, you know. We've dealt with fires before. We've had the Woolsey fire. My house was burned down by the Woolsey fire, so it's just the second time. But this time, it's not the same.
I understand.
This time, it feels like obviously somebody has caused the fire.
Yeah, hopefully.
It was not done by some high winds. Although I know we get 45-mile winds and even higher than that. I get that, but it was not done by winds. You know, somebody did that, and somebody's gotta.
I hope that's not the case, and it's horrible if that is the case. So.
Somebody has to pay for it, you know.
Yeah.
Like it has to end forever. And again, you know, yesterday obviously we have military, we have police, we had some different agents. You know, we've had everybody, fire trucks, ambulance, like helicopters, drones, you name it. Everybody was here.
Yeah.
So something is going on more than just that.
No, it's just that.
It's just fire?
It's just fire. There's a lot goes on with fire. Utility stuff, power, gas.
I know.
You know, all that stuff. There's a lot going on. This is a main artery to PCH, as you know.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of traffic in and out, trucks, whatever. Big reason is to keep that clear too. So.
Is the Palisades all burned down?
A lot of it, yeah.
All right, well, you guys have a good day.
Okay.
We'll be back. What do you recommend? Maybe in a few hours?
LAcounty.gov/emergency. They have updated information. That's where they're kind of updating everything.
Okay.
And
Yeah, we've been calling, and most of the time you don't get an answer. And when you do, it's like, it is what it is right now. This is the situation. I can't help you.
You know what's another app to use as well? Use Watch Duty.
That has some.
No. Okay, never mind then. Don't listen to that one. Sorry.
Yeah, I went to that one yesterday because you told me to go to Watch Duty.
I'd go to the government's websites, whether it be LAcounty.gov or the local websites like Malibu.gov or whatever it may be. So.
All right.
Okay.
We'll go grab some food. You guys need some food? You guys need anything? Drinks? You guys are good?
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Are you good?
The station's been helping us out too, so we're grateful for them to have giving us food and everything.
Okay, well.
And plus our memories, you know.
Yeah. God bless you guys.
Hey, drive safe wherever you're going. Please take care, okay?
We're going back to
I know.
other side.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you guys.
Yeah.
Well, as you see, guys, there is no answers. There's no answer to what's happening here. Obviously, as much as we want to get an answer, they won't give it to us. And it's part of being a normal civilian. Doesn't matter if you're rich or not. They'll still control you. They'll control you if they tell you got to get out of your fucking house, and you got to get out of your house. And that's the problem. You guys saw it.
I'm just going to say it. My main problem with this is that this is a catastrophe. Yes, this is absolutely scary. But once they put an evacuation order and they seal things off, they are essentially suspending the Constitution. Now you have no rights. They're under the guise of trying to save you and trying to help you. We're from the government. We're here to help. And yet you get no answers. You just got to do as you're told. They've essentially seized the property in the sense where you have no access to your own property. Like, where does that end? Like, you don't have rights. You can't go back to your house when you want. That's not freedom. To suspend the Constitution like that is very, very telling. Very telling. And that's unacceptable in my book. Unacceptable. This is too much power. Far too much power. There's no place in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights that are like, everything that is written here is to be suspended in the case of such and such, or an emergency, or everything that we talk about up to this point will be suspended. Like, it doesn't say that anywhere in there. This is very unconstitutional. This is very un-American. And it just goes to show you when, in case of an emergency, you have no say. You have no rights. The government takes complete control over everything, and you have nothing. Nothing. I don't care how much you put into it. I don't care if it's been in your family for 300, 400, 500 years. It doesn't matter. You have no rights. So that in itself, honestly, was one of the scariest clips I've seen, because it's like, whoa. This was 4 or 5 days ago for him, for this guy, and everything's put out. Everything's been contained over on that end, and he still can't go back. Like I said, be warned. Be warned. So if anything ever happens, anything, any predicament, any emergency, they can use any excuse they want. They'll seize power completely. Suspending the Constitution, you have no rights, you have no say. Very, very un-American. But whatever. What do I know, right? So yeah, be warned, people. Be warned. That's some scary stuff. I'm going to show you a couple more clips just that I've gotten saved up, and we'll just get right into it.
Well, we have some breaking news right now to Ventura County, in Oxnard specifically. We know Ventura County fighter battling a fire. Chris Christie, you are live overhead in Air 7.
Yeah, that's right, Colleen. We're just pulling up on the scene of this one. We're right on the edge of Oxnard, between Oxnard and Ventura. What started as a car fire turned into a grass fire and has spread to the riverbed, quickly became a 5-acre fire and is now spreading rapidly. This is a wind-driven fire, much more than 5 acres at this point. There are a couple of helicopters assigned to this. They're asking for more resources, and unfortunately, there are no more air assets available to come out here. However, this fire is in the riverbed, burning between Bonaventure Golf Course and River Ridge Golf Club, heading straight for Victoria Avenue, and not too far from now, only about 100 yards away from that road right there on the left side of your screen. It is racing by the wind towards the west. We're going to continue to keep an eye on this new fire. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
There's multiple fires still going off. Fires are still being set. It seems like it's arsonists, not climate change. They're battling them out there already right now as we speak. The Palisades have only gotten 15% containment. We'll see what tomorrow brings. And this is kind of history being made. We're going to see what's going to come of the Palisades. We're going to see what the city ends up doing. We're going to see if an agenda is at hand, I think, in the future. And as I started with the watching and listening to this, I just thought, it's just the fire, blah, blah, blah. They deal with fires all the time. But this is a little different. This isn't just fire we're dealing here. There's some, like I said, some dark stuff happening here. I want to bring awareness to it, but at the same time, I feel like there's definitely a deeper agenda here. And yeah, we got to be vigilant. We got to be vigilant. We got to watch these people, and we got to watch who we're putting in office. We have to pay attention to politics, unfortunately. And as I said before, I hate politics. I really do. It's the most dirty, disgusting topic one can talk about. It's the dirtiest word I know. It really is. But if you're not paying attention, you're going to get the rug pulled from underneath you. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody. These are my countrymen. These are my people. This is America. This is my home. So I'm concerned. I really am. And is it going to be the end of things? Probably not. I think we're just getting going here. Hopefully, the new administration has got some major changes in play, but going down this road, we're very far down the road already, and it's a dangerous road nonetheless. And I want people to, like I said, be a little bit more mindful, be a little bit more critical thinking, and to maybe take matters into your own hands, into some aspect. And with that said, I have a cool clip for you of this guy I want you to see. It kind of goes a little bit with what I'm saying in the sense of take matters into your own hands and, use your brain on certain things, and you'll start to see that this isn't the only way here. You can prevent things on your own end. Even as an individual, you can take things into your own hands and come out much better than everybody else. I think the statistic goes, if you prepare even a couple percent, prepare for disaster or an event, then your survival rate goes up like a few hundred times over. Your percentage of survival goes up. Where somebody who isn't, and that's only preparing like 3 to 5%. You don't have to go full prepper, full ham. I'm saying you just get a little prepared, maybe have a plan or whatever. Stock up on a little bit of food. I'm just using these as examples, but your percentile of survival goes up hundreds of times, where the person who has zero preparation, their percentage of survival drops by like 95%. So don't be a victim. Be a little prepared.
Home did survive. How did you manage to do that?
I was able to, after the last brush fires that got close to us a couple years ago, I bought these cheap sprinklers, the ones that wave back and forth, and bought hoses, had them ready, popped them up on my roof, turned them on. I sprayed down a fire retardant on the side of my house, and I left. Got out with my family. I got trapped by the flames going down Sunset. It was difficult. It was like Afghanistan type difficult. But what happened is, because I had those sprinklers up there, the flames came down the hill, and you could see from where the sprinklers arced in the backyard that the flames came right up to that water and stopped.
So that guy went out, bought a few cheap sprinklers, set them up, bought some hoses, like he said, set it up, and jetted. And that in itself is like, wow, look at that. Look at the effectiveness of just being a little prepared. He got to save his home. Can everybody do that? I don't know. Will everybody do that? Maybe, probably not. I'm just saying, like, if you get a little creative, realize that no one's going to save you, especially the government. If anything, they're going to throw you into the fire. It's, and I know it sounds ridiculous to say, but that's really what's happening here. They're the ones responsible. Any way you cut it. I don't care how you want to slice it. I don't care who loses their job or points fingers. Essentially, it was our governance, our elected officials that are responsible for this. They should have had that brush cleaned up. They should have had those reservoirs filled. They should have never allowed the insurance to do that, which they're the reason why the state insurance did that. Epic failures on the government's end. Unacceptable failures. They should be locked up. They should literally be locked up. I'm tired of no accountability. That pisses me off more than anything. No accountability in our officials. These people are criminals. They're absolute criminals. We can't do nothing. There's laws on the citizens. There's libraries of laws for us citizens. The Constitution is one paper, and they can't follow it. They can't follow it. What does that say? That paper isn't for us. The Constitution was written to keep them in check, and they can't follow it. So, I don't know. Get prepared. Be mindful of what's going on. Be mindful of the matrix and in the world that we live in. Going back a little bit into the corruption and going back into the conspiracy, I guess, side of things. But Rick Caruso, he ran for mayor against Karen Bass and lost, but apparently he owned a strip mall. I don't know how much time he needed in advance, but he saved his strip mall. He saved this place. He bussed in his own fuel. He bussed in his own water trucks. He had private fire people.
Oh, this is his own water trucks.
Yep.
That's pretty prepared. And that's a guy, who lost the race. I don't even know what to make of that, honestly. It's interesting, to say the least, like I said. Maybe if he was mayor, would he have saved the town? I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the delta smelt in reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full. The state reservoirs here in Southern California. That mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what was happening with that local reservoir. That was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the delta and somehow connecting the delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state.
So here he is, Gavin Newsom, fully lying right on national television. He knows damn well what he was talking about. He knew. He was just playing dumb. He was gaslighting us again. And the fact that the news anchor corrected him right on television, pretty epic. Doesn't this make your blood boil? Mine boils. Boiling. I've had it. And to not fly way off course here about the weather and these extreme weather patterns and all this. Did you know that there's over 1,000 patents of weather modification on the books? But there's a lot of states now that are actually starting to fight back on that. We will get into that in another podcast because, like I said, I've done a lot of research on geoengineering and SAI programs. I thought this was interesting that someone captured this on the news. And I'm going to look further into this, but I just figured I'll end it with a couple of these clips. But this one kind of caught my attention, and I thought it was pretty interesting because it slightly correlates to this in some way, shape, or form. But here, take a listen.
The borders of the state into the atmosphere. Kentucky, New Hampshire, Minnesota, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, and South Dakota, all introducing similar bills banning geoengineering of the skies. The New York Times reporting that secrecy around the project stems from fears that the public knowledge could lead to criticism and attempts to halt it. Yeah, no kidding. We're going to stop it. That's the point. Now,
going back to the topic of the migrants, this is where our agendas have been. This is where our priorities are. Once again, very much unacceptable. I can't imagine how we got this far and how we have allowed this to happen. But the Biden administration has really devastated America. I'm sorry. There's no other way to say it. But like open borders and the way it was done, and to have allowed all these migrants in unchecked, has gotten completely out of control. We're heading into something very dangerous. And I don't, as much as I want to say these are the events, I truly believe the main event is definitely going to happen at some point. We've let too many in unchecked. And this is just one story out of my own home state. And it goes to show the incompetence of Maura Healey. She's dangerous. She's dangerous to the Republic, or at least the old Republic. She's great for communism. She's banned all these guns in Massachusetts. I can't get all sorts of things, but an illegal alien can come in, loaded, armed to the teeth. Oh, to hit on that. We can't own the guns, right? And they stripped, same thing as California, they've stripped so many guns from them, and they're not allowed to have this, and they can't have more than 10-round magazines, blah, blah, blah. You don't need that for hunting. So there's massive looting going on in California right now. The moment the fires started getting, well, after, if there's any surviving homes and there's areas that are okay and what have you, and if the homes survived, they're fighting off thieves and people who are breaking into homes, and this is running rampant. And they had the audacity to blame Elon for this, saying that, I don't even remember what they said, but it was basically something like, oh, he's promoting it on X. And it's like, dude, are you serious? Like, massive government policy failure and setting yous up. They're setting us up. Here's this guy. All these gun laws, it didn't stop this dude. He's a migrant. He didn't even have a background check, but he got caught with 10 pounds of fentanyl, an AR. Probably, you know, who else knows what else he had that didn't get found or what have you. And he's only one person. There's hundreds of thousands. They've even said it. There's hundreds of thousands of criminals, known criminals that they let in. There's thousands of terrorist operatives that they know are here now because of the open borders.
And she says she hopes that the incoming president takes action on reforms. Her words came Friday, more than a week after an illegal immigrant from the Dominican Republic living in a hotel shelter in Revere, Massachusetts, was found with 10 pounds of fentanyl and an AR-15. Leonardo Andujar Sanchez, 28, now faces federal drug and weapons charges. The high-profile case inspired Healy to launch a review of intake procedures at state shelters. By late last week, her administration confessed that criminal background checks were not being performed on shelter residents, and as Healy had ordered, after an alleged rape of a teenage girl at a hotel shelter last March. Slammed with a billion-dollar bill lamenting federal inaction on a broken immigration system, the governor is also calling for federal action from President Trump.
It's not fair that states have to foot the bill for this, that taxpayers have to foot the bill for this, and that we're strained and burdened in the way that we are. So I hope that President Trump takes action, and I hope that both the House of Representatives and the Senate work with the president on those changes.
The Massachusetts Republican Party chair accused the governor of mismanaging the migrant crisis. Amy Carnival writes, the fact that the governor only now feels compelled to act after these horrors have come to light is despicable. Remember, since September, ICE Boston has arrested more than 24 men, illegal immigrants in Massachusetts, accused of sex crimes. You may recall it was in November that Healy had vowed to absolutely not cooperate with Trump's deportation efforts. Bill?
Wow, so then it could develop in a very interesting way.
In the weeks ahead, we shall see.
I'm sure people want relief. Yeah, thank you. Great.
This is an absolute disgrace. So anybody local who's watching this, Maura Healey, you have to go. We need to get her out. I don't even understand how she's even stayed in as long as she has. Attorney General. Elizabeth Warren, same thing. Demon. You got to go. You've done nothing. You're a career politician. I'm all set. I'm done. I've had it. They're literally enemies of the people. They have to go. So isn't that funny how that worked out? There's all sorts of gun laws. There's all sorts of drug laws. How did that guy get in then? How did that guy get an AR? How did that guy get 10 pounds of fentanyl? I thought that was illegal. Oh, that's right. Laws don't stop the criminals. That's right. They only prevent good people from gaining access to weaponry. But anyway, I know this is doom and gloom. I don't mean it to be, but I mean this is the state that we're living in. And like I said, we got 6-7 days before Trump gets in. I hope things change for the better when he gets in and he starts, getting rid of some of the drain the swamp for real this time, because America's going down the tubes. We're literally watching it burn from underneath our feet. Again, my heart absolutely goes out to everybody in California, North Carolina, all the areas that are being devastated by these bureaucratic policies. Maui, my heart goes out to them too. yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out, and I'm just going to keep reporting on anything that I find that I feel is of importance. And I think this is all very, very important stuff. This is shaping the future of America. So stay vigilant, people. Keep up the good fight. Thank you very much for watching, supporting. If you want to help us, please like, subscribe to the channel, share our stuff online, and we greatly appreciate all the support. So yeah, thank you very much. Stay tuned. I'm going to put out another one real soon. Till next time, keep up the good fight. Valhalla.
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. This is where they die. And these shields, boys. Remember this day, man, for it will be yours for all time.